Carrie might not be able to make it, so I'm going to proceed as though she probably will not be here, but if she shows up, then great. All right, welcome, everybody. We will jump right into our work session. Item number 1, request for a change in zoning classification from R1 to R19 for property located at 692 and 696 South Skylake Drive. Wayne's not here. So, Jody, I guess that leaves you.
So, no. Scott Wyatt owns both of these properties. He is looking to change the zoning. It would not increase the density, but just change it so he can do one piece of property that would be 1.4 acres and the other one would be I think it was 7.6 acres. He's doing this so he can put an accessory building on his property. The additional property would have an entrance off of Maplevale and not come off of Skylake. So it would not involve another driveway on Skylake. This is just a formality. It's just your recommendation to the Planning Commission to review it. If you're totally against it, though, we wouldn't review it or send it to the Planning Commission.
But it won't have any impact on the neighbors, right?
No, it wouldn't have any impact, and it wouldn't increase density in any way. Some of the lots in the area are 0.74 to 1.3 acres. So it's kind of on the smaller side of the acres, but it's still within reason. But it would require a rezone.
And this has finished with the Planning Commission now?
It has not. This would
Oh.
just be a recommendation to the
okay.
Planning Commission.
Okay.
Then they would make their recommendation. It would come back to you for a final approval.
In that process, do they ask the surrounding properties, aren't they supposed to check?
So a
with them?
notice went out to all the surrounding property owners of a tentative public meeting by the Planning Commission on March the 20th.
Okay, that list is at the end of the
Yeah,
packet, so it's got all the people that went out to.
that's what I care about. Okay.
It's actually missing some people, that list.
With only 300 feet of the
Dewey's
property.
aren't on there.
No, Curry,
Gus.
but Gus is not the owner of the home. The home is currently in the property owned by his sister,
Oh, okay.
so it goes to her.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
That answers that then. Thank you.
That's what I thought too, and that's why I looked it up on the county records, and it's still in his sister's name.
Okay.
So you imply in what you just said that renters, for example, have no say in things changing around them like that?
Correct. It would just be the property owners.
Yeah.
Owner's rights. Really?
You ever rented and lived there for 20 years and feel bad when things change around you and you have no say? That I understand, I think.
That's a debate for another night. All right, any other questions on this?
You know, honestly, I've walked through this lot many times, and there is a part of me that says we shouldn't do it, but looking at the lot specifically, and with other lots around it are already at that point, some 7-something acreage, that lot that, so he basically, there's a piece of it that connects to Sky Lake, and there's a piece of it that connects to the Mountain Vale. And honestly, that lot would have always most likely been accessed from Mountain Vale anyway, because coming from Sky Lake, it has a nice little flat area and then it's a plummet. So I think it's actually a better utilization of those parcels with this current split.
And it doesn't put a house there, so it actually is decreasing potential future, people in that area, so it actually reduces that.
Yeah, less people will be driving onto Sky Lake, which is good.
Okay, thanks, Jody. Item 2, a proposal to amend the Woodland Hills Consolidated Fee and Rate Schedule.
Again,
We do this a lot.
Again.
Sorry.
This recommendation was made by our zoning enforcement officer. Right now, the code, the fine for code violation fees is 100 for the first offense, 200 for the second, and third, 300 or 400 for a third or more offenses. I think he must have talked to the deputy and an attorney because he said something about we can fine up to a Class B misdemeanor for code violations. And so that would allow it to be, first violation, maybe you're not fining 100, but maybe by the second one, if it's a grievous enough violation, you're not doing more than 200. So it allows some latitude for the code to be able, the city council to determine what that violation would be.
And I'm trying to remember what the driving force behind this was, because there was a particular property, if I remember correctly, but I don't recall off my head.
So Wayne had asked me about fee schedule and on how that works by the city, like an administration fee and stuff like that. And so I referred him to Vineyard City because that's how they do things. They have an administration fee that the residents would pay to the city due to fines or just warnings and things like that. That's not law enforcement related. It's more civil than it is criminal. And so that's probably where he got some of that information.
And I believe our city code, because we reference our city code 1-6-3, and so our code, we reference Utah code 763-301, where it talks about fines being up to a misdemeanor. Our city code talks about it in section 1 of our city code.
Okay,
But it looks like we lose the opportunity to charge more on subsequent violations, right? It's just $100 on my thing.
No, it says fines up to a Class B misdemeanor, and that's $1,000.
$1,000 fine.
Yeah, so that can be up to $1,000.
Oh,
So that means if you've got a fireworks one, is that a?
Fireworks is 1,000.
Yeah.
Open fire or open flames.
Yeah, I think it provides a little more discretion actually for
okay.
the mayor's judgment through his enforcement officer.
Okay. It's just, I see the other things crossed out and I didn't know what was in the Class B. Anyway, as long as we can keep increasing as they continually offend, if
Up
that
to
happens.
$1,000.
You can
Perfect.
actually increase it beyond what we have in
Perfect.
currently.
Okay.
so.
Well, and it could go beyond $1,000 if the Utah State Code decides to change the
Yeah,
Class B misdemeanor limit.
sounds right. Okay.
all right, anything else?
That's the only change in there, huh?
Yes.
Okay, thanks again, Jody. Item 3, amending City Code 613 for parking, towing, and impoundment of vehicles.
And just stand back here.
If you want to stand. We're few in numbers.
My phone's telling me, or my watch is telling me I need my standing time.
Yeah, well, just stand and then sit right back down. That's all it asks you to do.
Just reading through this ordinance, was meeting with Jody, and I think that, there just need to be some wording added to it. So, you guys have the forms highlighted a little bit? Okay. The main thing is, there really was like no parking, the word no parking in there. We have some no parking zones in some of the cul-de-sacs, especially after dark. And in the future, we may have some no parking areas throughout the city that signs will be placed and we can enforce that. So I just asked that some updated wording be put in for no parking.
Did we also add the occupied and non-occupied?
Yes.
No
Yeah,
parking.
it says there, attended.
So I assume that'll be discretionary, right, per the situation, but if it's
Yeah.
loitering, parking, occupied,
Yeah, 'cause
Towable.
it said, first it said any unattended vehicles. So a lot of the times when you pull in the cul-de-sacs, night or day, somebody.
Yeah,
So with that, I think, looking at it, I was like, not much.
yeah,
Ordinance.
yeah.
If they're in the vehicle, they're fine. So we want to make sure that that's addressed.
So how would you handle that? Particularly, like, you know, if it's, I assume you'd probably knock on the window and
Find out what they're doing.
So-
Address the situation, especially if it's after, if it's night and they're not supposed to be in those cul-de-sacs. Address the situation. Most of the time, I give a warning, and that's documented in the system. So any other time that they're contacted by any sheriff, that they will show that they've been warned not to be in that area. So, but usually we just walk up and check on them, especially if it's during the day and stuff like that, especially up on Eagles Nest. A lot of people are up there on lunch break, supposedly looking at the game.
What view are they looking at?
I'm leaving that to your interpretation.
My backyard, come on.
I just think that there's going to be a little bit more wording just to give us a little bit more grip on that.
Do you already have a way to enforce littering if there's littering going on?
Yeah, there's a state
You,
statute.
you can handle that? Okay, good. I like this change.
The one question I have, so Ted is talking about making mobile no parking signs?
We've talked about it, yes.
And is that enforceable with a mobile note, you know, if he goes up and sets it on a certain road? I want to make sure that that's enforceable, that they can't come back and say, well, I was parked there before they put the sign there, kind of deal.
And I think with a lot of that, we're looking at areas that are common complaints of parking issues.
Exactly.
Summit Creek, especially around the curve area,
Mhm.
that gets congested. And, and I think a lot of that's due to construction. And if we look at putting no parking on one side of that, is that something the city wants all the time or just during this time of construction? And then can we move it somewhere else?
And that's, and I agree that mobile is great. I think that's, I just want to make sure that it's enforceable from your end. That, I mean, are they going to come back and argue that we could have put the sign there after they parked there, kind of deal?
Well, yes. That's a good question. I think, what we do is, at least we warn people in advance that
Okay.
that we're gonna have the no parking signs there. But yeah, if there's already a car there and then we go and put a no parking sign.
Yeah, I get that, but I just want to make sure that we're able to enforce that.
And
When it does
I
happen.
personally have never heard of mobile, no parking signs. We kind of talked about this in a staff meeting and, thought, oh, that's a good idea. 'Cause, there may be another area later on that's congested.
Yep.
This one that we have the signs isn't anymore, and so we move those around. But I would give it enough warning that, yeah. All right.
And I don't know I mean, are you talking to, Brian, like, I mean, is there something that is required at the council level to designate a no parking area? or
Maybe,
something
I
like that?
just want to know if there's something specific we need, you know, how can we enforce those things? And if it's just a warning system and we're, you know, I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. When Ted was telling me about that the other day, I started thinking about, okay, what's gonna happen here? Are we gonna have you know, if we find someone, is there gonna be a legal battle that we don't wanna do again?
And there might be, but the thing is like, I know that Sergeant Dustin and Ted are routinely going along the same stretches and telling people, and so, I mean, I think that at least this, if we have the signs and we ticket them and they wanna say, well, you have no authority to put up sort of ad hoc, no parking areas, then, you know, I guess we can tackle those on a
Okay, all
case-by-case
right.
basis.
I was just wondering if there was any precedent for it.
No, we're on new ground here. We're a forward-thinking city.
But my initial thought was if we're having, in our biggest complaint is put no parking down on one side of it. all the
Yeah.
way.
And as a plow driver, we get lots of people out and causes us lots of problems, so I'm all for it, but
And there's the expensive signs, and how far would you want them spaced to make sure everybody sees them and
Yep.
stuff like that.
Thanks.
At least we'll start with this and see where we go with it.
Okay, any other questions for Sergeant? Okay,
Okay?
thank you. Okay, relocation of sirens. Chief?
We've got another one. You can take this one up here.
This one.
Okay.
All right, so Doral's going to help me with this one too, because I brought him into this madness. So as you remember, we had to remove our siren operations from dispatch. They're changing all the radio systems, and because of that, our base unit down there that operates our sirens up here would no longer work. And in fact, they just really didn't want them there anymore because they're in case of a real emergency, they just said they're not going to have time to give up an operator to operate them. So we've actually pulled the sirens out of dispatch now, the base unit. We still have the sirens here, but the base unit that operates is no longer in dispatch. So we got a quote from the guy who maintains our sirens, maintains them, and actually helped install these initial sirens. He works with Tooele County, and that's where we got all this equipment from, was them. I think it was used equipment we got from Tooele County. He helped install it all, and he's been maintaining it ever since. So he gave us a quote to relocate, and not only relocate the base unit, which is actually going to be a new base unit, because the one we have is now outdated, but also update our radios, which are also outdated, on our siren poles themselves. The sirens can stay, the radios will be updated, and then to make the base unit work at, say, the city facility, if we move the base unit here to operate sirens, we have to put in an antenna tower to reach out and get all of our sirens. So we got a quote from him to do this for it was like $30,300, $385 or something like that, to update all our sirens and install the new base unit for us here. I met with Chris this morning. We kind of went through the budget, and we think there's some budget that we can be able to do this within our existing budget, unused budget, that we can make work here. I did talk to the siren guy today. We did talk, Ben, to BYU about their surplus, and it could be, he wasn't sure when they're going to put it on the market for surplus, but he sent us the specs for it. So I sent those to our siren guy. He's seeing if that will work for what he needs. And he says if it works, then, you know, he's willing to let us buy it and then him just install it and all that.
That'd be great. Cool.
Save us a little money if we can, if it works. So, but that's his quote right now to install everything. Just want to present it at City Council, and I think we've got some budget there, some unused budget that we had set aside for chipper days that we're not going to need because the county does it for us for no cost. But we'd set some aside because if our grant doesn't get authorized, then we don't have the money. We have to pay for ourselves. But we got the grant approved, and Utah County's going to do it for free. And so that'll be budget we have that just is available, and
A great use of it.
great use of it. Yeah. So
Do we have potential ETA on that?
as soon as I give him the go ahead, he'll start ordering equipment. And I don't know what the lead time is on some of this equipment, but he'll get going on it right away.
Okay.
But I don't know the lead time though. He has to actually, he's going to come and we got 4 siren poles around the city. He has to get a boom truck and come around and replace all the radios on them. The sirens will stay, the poles will stay, but the radios have to be replaced, an antenna, base unit, and then all the wiring and labor.
Okay. Is there anything that you would need from us to be able to, you know, get that moving quicker than, or is there certain pieces of information that we still need before we can pull the trigger? Because it sounds like we need those sirens. It's a need.
Yeah.
We've got the money.
It's more just an authorization of being able to use the budget to do that. And
Yeah.
Go ahead
which
with
Is the
Tonight.
purpose tonight, yeah.
Perfect.
That was my speech if you wanted to hear it, but do we need to vote on this type of expense if we choose to do it? I don't know.
I mean, it's
So
Chris is
Yes.
there, so it's
Yes,
we're
you don't need to
changing
vote on it.
categories, right?
And I noticed it's not in tonight's voting side, but
So yes, it's on tonight for large purchases, and also yes, you'll need to vote on it because it's over $10,000.
perfect. Oh, I didn't get it. Okay.
Yeah, and so we'll take the 20,000 of it from the 22,000 of it from the chipper days, and there was about 16,000 for a new lawnmower. Both of them come from the park fund, and we'll be able to take the rest of the funds from there. When we open up the budget again here in the next couple months, we'll just move those to a more appropriate location. But if you guys vote in the affirmative, you can go ahead and we can get these guys moving on it quickly.
This is music
And
to
you'll
my
just have to
ears.
mow the park by hand.
Hey, look at it. No, Brian's got time.
Well, I just mean
So-
as a council liaison to PTR, I assumed it was you that would mow it too.
Yeah. Yeah, we're off. You're gonna have to take care of that now, Brian.
You're
So
bringing stability.
I remember several mayors ago when they worked rigorously from Tooele to get these sirens donated to us. We had the expense of putting poles in, and frankly, these are just incredibly valuable to our city. And when I talk to other cities about the ways they alert people, and I tell them we have sirens and we have Everbridge and we have texting and we have all these different varieties of ways, every one of them without fail have said, when you have a unique pathway to alert your citizens, don't give up any of them ever if you can help it. Because when we have avalanches or earthquakes or you name it, zombie, whatever, and I won't say that, there you go. Sometimes those events break ways of communicating with each other. Cell towers don't always work, for example. And so keeping unique methods of alerting really is a huge, huge plus. And these sirens did help with the evacuation during our fires. And just the fact that we test monthly, and I hope we continue to do that with the new ones, every time those sirens go off, it makes our citizens think about, oh, I live somewhere unique and weird, and things can happen here that might not happen somewhere else. And I just want people to have that monthly reminder. There's a lot of good reasons for these sirens. So I appreciate hearing council support to want to continue getting them running. Now, I believe they should have always been controlled by our city. We were asking big favors for someone out of our city to manage that and to help us. So to me, this is all positive, but I hate the expense, but it's totally worth it in my view. But
And don't quote me on this, but I believe when I talked to him, it used to be to operate the sirens, the dispatch operator down there would have to get up, walk over to the console, do a bunch of buttons and stand there and wait for them to go off and everything. And so that's why they were concerned about continuing to operate them, because they wouldn't be able to do that in the event of emergency. I think we can now set it to be automated. So every month it has an automated message and they go off every month at the same time.
And it can be, the sirens can be triggered both on-site and remotely too, right?
I'm not sure about the remote, but maybe I have to just further investigate. I asked him about that, not from a cell phone. They wouldn't be able to, but we'll have to investigate that a little more.
So they're not smart. This new receiver is not a smart receiver. It's not integrated in any capacity with some sort of.
No, because what it does is actually send signals out to Twila off their tower and then back to our towers. Because the system is controlled through, there's multiple systems controlled through this system through towers. So he has to shoot it out to their tower they have out there that controls theirs up. It's not when I say Twila, it's up on the big point of the mountain between here and Twila. And then it shoots it back to our towers, and it's all radio
So us
frequency
to be
operated.
fully autonomous from them would be very expensive.
Yes, yes.
I'm okay with borrowing.
Yeah. Tuila's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Yeah. Okay.
Mayor, what's
Mark. Oh, you have the microphone here. Well, no, I can't hand it to you. That's special.
Are we looking at a one-for-one replacement for these sirens, or are we looking at a reevaluation of we're replacing them? Because I know on the old system, there seemed to be some holes where you could maybe hear the siren but not hear the PA system. I'm just wondering, so are we just looking at a one-for-one replacement, or are we looking at reevaluating how we're going to place them?
So I guess a couple of parts to that question. One is the poles and sirens themselves are not moving. We're not getting any new poles or sirens, right? they're going to remain. We're not buying new poles and sirens. All the equipment that operates them will be replaced with new updated equipment. So the radios, the base unit, the radio tower, all that'll be new equipment. We'll be able to control them a little differently than we used to. But the actual sirens and PA and that are going to remain for now. Ultimately, we might replace the PAs, but
And do we have many dead spots now? I know that was something that we were fine tuning. I was under the impression that we'd largely addressed any gaps in the ability, but I don't know.
I don't either. I'm not for sure. I
Salem-
hear it every time it's going off.
Salem and Elk Ridge enjoy them.
Yeah, yeah. I know Elk Ridge hears them. They tell me about them. They don't want us to get rid of them either.
Yeah, no, it's a good advance.
It warns them as well.
Would our new system be able to accept more sirens and PAs?
Yeah, you just add another pole, siren, and radio, and then you just send it out through a radio. This all operates off radio signals, right? So
it doesn't close the door to expanding. it.
Right.
If
You have to
there
buy a
are-
radio.
I don't know if you've heard from particular residents, Mark, or if it's,
Well, my house is one location where there's a hole.
okay, so you can hear the siren, but you can't hear the
Yeah,
speaking.
sometimes I don't even hear the siren. Sometimes my alert's when the dog goes crazy.
Oh,
Must be siren testing.
right.
So, maybe if we're looking at surplus, maybe we can surplus a couple extra and just, if we get in a position where we need them, we'll have one, we'll have to go looking for them. Maybe that's what we're looking
It's good to know. I'd like to hover around your area when we set them off and see.
for. Say that again?
Yeah, I'd like to see where dead spaces are, and if you've got one, it'd be interesting.
I know we talked about it one time about Summit Creek installing a siren down there in their development. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the entire community's mutual interest.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So this cost right now is just for the equipment. It's not towers or sirens or anything like that.
and
Just the
what we're
operational equipment.
installing is basically a one-for-one to Mark's question. I mean, we
Yeah.
won't be adding any new sirens.
Yeah. This is just to get all of our equipment, well, basically, so we can operate it here. And it takes all new equipment to do that, other than the siren poles and the sirens.
Wouldn't it be great to move on this so it could get operational by fire season?
Yeah.
That would be great this year.
As soon as we get the approval, I'll give him a call and he'll get ordering.
It's a
soon,
dream.
Is there a concern that it won't be?
I don't know how long it'll take
so.
him.
No, I don't know the lead times on the equipment. That's the question mark, and I'll have to check with him on that. The radios will be maybe the longest lead, and I'll explain that when we get into a further discussion in the large purchase thing again. But anyway,
We
and I don't know how far out they are.
We do need a 40-foot tower, and I don't know if that takes an ordinance change. I don't know, and it needs to be here near the city center where the controller is.
And
Yeah,
that's the one you were talking to the BYU
The
surplus?
surplus tower.
and I think we looked that up. 40-foot fits in our
Yeah, we
ordinance,
called
doesn't it?
Ben.
Yeah, I think we looked that up if I remember
I
right.
think it's
And it worked
not
out.
authorized for a resident, but I think
Well,
for municipality, I think it's
By
fine.
federal regulation, you can't stop a resident from putting.
Oh, that's good to know.
Federal regulation. That's-
And I think we looked up our ordinance, and this height was okay with our ordinance, I
Great,
believe.
great.
What's that? The thought was we'd put it, because we got a siren right here, and maybe we just make that place look like we put the tower over there.
Let's
it-
talk about,
Because I think our poles over there are even taller than.
yeah, but I don't think our current pole should be 30 feet from the building. And,
Which, that would be close.
It's an easy fix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll look it up. I think I checked the height one on towers.
shall
radio
not
towers.
exceed 50 feet above average grade or 10 feet above the peak of the roof line.
Yeah, which should be will be 40 feet above average grade. And I don't know the roof line.
I trust the engineer, he'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
If
And
it
if
doesn't,
not, we can make an adjustment.
yeah, we'll make an adjustment, but
Well, hopefully we can. I don't
Thank you.
You guys have it again.
Yeah. It's the
For
right-
safety, we'll make an
it's
adjustment.
the right attitude.
This is not a luxury. This is.
All right, thanks, Ted. And thanks, Doral.
Thank you.
That was a joint effort.
I didn't do anything.
All right, so Jody, are you gonna do item 5 on behalf of Carrie now?
I can. So the Community Development Committee held a quick meeting last week, Thursday. In attendance of the meeting was Rod Munn, Councilmember Malkovich, Chloe Lane, and Kirsten Thompson. Chloe Lane, I think Cleveland, sorry. I can't remember. Cleveland. Chloe Cleveland nominated, and Rod seconded, appointing Kirsten Thompson as the committee chair, and they voted to appoint Chloe as the secretary.
Super, thank you. Any comments or questions? Brian, I don't know if,
I apologize.
no, you're good.
That equipment's going out.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you're taking care of that. The community development, so there's some new members that are being recommended. Can you go through those one more time, Jody? Just rattle those names off again.
Yeah, so the Community Development Committee met, and they're recommending Kirsten Thompson be appointed as the committee chair, and Chloe Cleveland be appointed as the secretary.
So that's just what they had in that, in their meeting, it's not
Yes.
any, the next step, yeah. I was aware of that, I did watch the meeting, and it was a little interesting. There wasn't much to go there, but it was quite interesting to see. People had to be reminded of protocols,
Oh,
so. It's a short meeting, you might want to watch it.
okay, well, with that teaser, I might add that. Okay, any other comments or questions on that? Thank you again, Jody. Ted, back to you. Completion of Broad Hollow Well.
All right. So, as I believe you received in your packets, we reached out to our engineering company to put together basically design plans and specs and bid documents so we can put the completion of the well out to bid to contractors. They sent back, the engineering firm sent back their proposal to do the to do the engineering to finish the well. That include also getting the 3-phase power installed there and all that kind of stuff. It was roughly 40,000, 39 something. In reviewing once again the budget with Chris, I mean, there's in the water budget we have some pretty good funds. We have some engineering consulting fees left in that budget, as well as some other water maintenance budget and stuff like that. That's well under % spent. So we have the budget to cover this, and this will give us the engineering plans and design and specs to put out to bid to contractors to finish the well.
Yeah, get this thing across the finish line.
Yeah, this is the first step in getting that. Yeah, getting it across the finish line. So,
Thank you. Any questions for Ted on that?
So one of the line items is construction services, but it says contractor procurement construction. Are they gonna manage the project? Is Jones DeMille going to manage the project, or are we?
so us mostly.
I just was wondering what that line item.
So contractor procurement is getting all the bid documents ready,
Yeah.
prepare the bid tab, make the recommendation of which contractor and all that kind of stuff. That's getting the contractor on board.
I just wanted to know if it included, because it said construction, I wanted to know if it included, management.
Yeah.
management.
It does in a part include some construction management items. What I asked him to include was reviewing submittals, especially electrical, because I don't know electrical at all. And so there's an electrical engineer involved in this. He'll review all the submittals, and the submittals are the equipment the contractor is going to propose to use on the project. He'll review those, make sure it all complies with the specs. They'll look at, some site visits, some periodic site visits to make sure the contractor is doing what they had designed. And so there's some construction administration, I call them in there, but yeah.
That's great.
And then we'll also watch the day-to-day because that's what I did for 29 years. So I like beating on contractors. Yeah, contractors.
Great
are great.
question, though. All right, anything else? Okay, thanks, Ted. Oh, wait,
You're next, Ted.
thanks, Ted, and calling
Slide back
Ted.
and sliding forward. What was this one on? RFP. Oh, yeah, nothing, I mean, the RFP, this is for the on-call contractors, just to help us with emergency circumstances or whatever we might have in the city that needs to be done that, doesn't warrant putting a big project out to bid. It's advertised right now. I want to check today. We have 3 contractors right now that have downloaded the documents. It doesn't mean they're going to propose, but we've got 3 right now that have downloaded it. One of them being one of the ones that had done the fire hydrant replacement that I was hoping would. Another one that I'm familiar with, and one I wasn't. But I'm also going to be talking with one of our local residents probably tomorrow or the next day who he hasn't downloaded. I don't know. He got an invite personally from the state procurement, so I'm going to talk to him a little bit about the process. I'm not sure that he's too familiar with some of these formal processes, so we'll help answer some of his questions.
Great. Questions?
So I have just one. Jody and I happen to be downstairs looking at stuff today, and we've still got a lot of things. I don't know if you're going to be ever hiring anybody that's going to use any of the pieces and parts that we have. I was down at the salt shed and the Connex today, and with these contractors, are you going to let them familiarize yourself with what stock we have so they can use that? Is that part of this, or will they be buying everything?
So one of the requirements I put in the RFP was specifically they have to come and review our inventory and make any recommendations on anything we should add and be familiar with what they can use.
Okay.
So yeah, that's part of was
So you
one of the
wanna
requirements.
maintain an inventory of things so they don't have to maintain it?
Yeah, because sometimes when these breaks happen at 2 a.m, it's hard to find a supply shop that they can get stuff from. So it's nice to have some stuff here at the facility.
Okay, I didn't even think about that. So
Yeah.
that was one of the things I kind of talked about this
Yeah.
during the day today.
So that was one of the items we requested in the RFP was that they review our inventory, make recommendations and stuff like that. So yeah. Yep. Perfect.
Excellent. Okay. You may as well just stay put because with Carrie not being here, we'll skip the UDOT grant, community development update, and jump to ARPA, water line replacement, and fire grants.
So the water line replacement, the ARPA grant, that one is just still in our water funds and it will go towards the well project. Once we finish the engineering, we'll put it out to bid, get a contractor on board, and that ARPA funds will be used towards the actual construction completion of the well
And I
facilities.
mean, with some of the discounts that we got, will it entirely cover? Will there be some residual that we'll have to pick up?
Likely be some residual. We've got, Chris has done a great job of building us some budget for that. So the ARPA, we have 100 and I think it's 80 left, 180,000. The SESD quote, I think was updated to 73 or 74, I want to say. So roughly we'll have a little over 100,000. I think we'll need a little more than that to kind of have a contractor come up because that's to cover SESD's portion of it. But it's probably going to take a little more than that to finish up the well. So there'll be some residual, but we have some good ARPA funds there to help with. So which would be great. The water line replacement grant, we're just still tracking that one. That was the one that you sent through Burgess Owen's office. When we looked up online, they still had their 2023 information in there. So I assume the new one hasn't come out, but Carrie checked with their staff and they haven't got the application process open yet for the new one, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, when they came, they said just sort of be poised.
Yeah.
And ready to jump. So,
Yeah.
but it did sound like it's sort of like a surprise party. You know?
Yeah. I think last year when we read about it, you got like 2 weeks or something like that once it comes out to get it filled out and back into them. And it's through the federal housing. I can't remember what the actual department's called, but.
Is there anything we can do to sort of in anticipation of when? I mean, I just, so like you say, even like the application and so forth is not even available. So it's just, once it comes, then we gotta
Then we'll
start
have
filling
to,
things out.
yeah, we'll have to jump on it. And I mean, we've got a lot of, I worked probably a week or so ago when we were looking at some development potentials, and I went through all our water system stuff and tried to figure out what we've got, what we need, what our demands are, what kind of, anyway, kind of went through a whole thing and put together a spreadsheet and summarized it all. So hopefully that'll help us be a little bit ready with at least the information.
Yeah, no, that sounds like it would be useful.
Yeah.
Okay. And then fire?
Fire, the only thing we submitted a grant to FEMA under the Assistance to Firefighter Grants. Submitted that last Friday. Requested 129, roughly 130,000 to replace all our SCBA's because our SCBA's are outdated and they're expiring. Those are the SCBA's are the packs and the bottles and the masks we wear. So I applied for some new ones of those. We'll see how it goes. I think our commitment for that was like 6,000 we'd have to come up with.
Oh, FEMA does that though, because I remember Craig talking about that being a source of concern for him, and so that they were outdated.
Yeah.
I know we got some used.
Yeah, and
something.
Yeah, he found a bunch of tanks from Clinton City that he purchased, which so the tanks that we have had expired 2023. Craig worked really hard and was able to find some tanks that fit our packs from Clinton that they had on the market because they'd upgraded theirs, and he got enough to get us through. I think these ones will expire, I want to say 2026. So it gets us by for another 3 years, and hopefully we can find some.
That's great.
We told a huge sob story to FEMA, and we applied last year too, and weren't successful. We'll see how it goes this year, and they're very competitive grants, but we'll keep giving it a shot until.
Just keep sobbing louder.
Keep sobbing louder until we aren't heard, and we have no choice but to figure it out ourselves. But.
I'm going to take him to McDonald's for lunch if he gets a FEMA grant because I've never got one.
Oh, you tried for.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
and they're really fun to fill out.
Oh, they're the funnest applications you'll ever do.
Lots of work with little reward, huh?
Then you hear zero.
Yeah, I spent I think 4 days solid on this thing.
It's a mess,
Anyway.
Okay. Well.
But if we get the 130, it's worth it. And it's not. I mean, I've been doing FEMA applications for a long time for other, not fire, but for other things, and so I knew what I was in for.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Unless anybody has any questions, I think you're done.
Yeah.
Brian's on the phone, so he forfeits his right to grill you.
I was trying to get that equipment taken care of.
Okay. Do you want to grill Ted on anything?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you. And then Wayne is not here to give us an update on the municipal subdivision ordinance technical assistance grant. Joey, I don't know if you have anything to offer.
I think a lot of the firms that, at least RCC, who we were looking at to help us with, they've been finishing up some of the bigger cities, and they have just completed a lot of those, so we'll be getting with them shortly and see how they can
So
help
kind of
us.
the same pattern that we've been in. Okay, thank you. All right, item 9, reports. So this is going to sound like a pathetic excuse, but Mag, I could not attend the meeting in person. I tried to link in and the link did not work, and I gave up and I didn't go. So I have nothing to report about the MAG meeting, but
That does sound lame.
I probably should have just said I have nothing to report and not offered any background.
Get along
But Monica can attest to the fact that I tried. I tried the link multiple times throughout the night, right? And
I mean, I didn't actually see you try.
but I said I tried.
God. Way to go, Monica.
Yeah,
Way to support him.
A
Yeah.
good old mag
Oh,
meeting's a good
Monica.
snoozer.
it's what?
It's a good snoozer.
Yeah. I mean, it's really valuable stuff for a community of our size. A lot of times it seems like we.
I think what you're looking for is they don't care about us.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one way of putting it. Yeah, but they did give us the money for the trail study, so I can't be too critical of them. And then SESD, we had a lengthy board meeting today, and I mean it's I don't really think there's anything to report. The lawsuits, SESD has been engaged in lawsuits with Salem, Payson, currently involved in lawsuits with both of those cities, and then with Spanish Fork, we'd settled, and we renewed that agreement.
What for?
Just as they,
Rate increases or?
no, they,
Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean, basically, so when they became their own utility, there were disputes over who pays for the existing infrastructure and how much, and so Spanish Fork, it was addressed, and it looks like we are in the home stretch with the other two, which will be good because it is expensive, as all of us know, legal disputes. And then I did send a text to everybody here about doing a tour of the facilities, and I haven't gotten, so we're locked in on the day, but I haven't heard back on the time, and so I'll let you know as soon as I have that information. So,
I want to be able to go, I think, and now any opportunity like to go take pictures and, you know what I mean?
yeah, no, I think that, I think it will be a really cool experience to just kind of see, and like I think I said to you, Jen, I mean, I know that there's sometimes sort of feels like there's this, I mean, like we're at odds with SESD, but it is our utility. I mean, we are part of the district. We have a seat at the table, and so it's our utility. And so I think it's important for us to recognize it as such. So, okay, Councilmember Hilliard. I guess you're talking about SESD too.
I hope not. I'm talking about SUVSWD. Mine's a little bigger mouthful. We now actually just call it Nexa, but yeah. So I went this past weekend. I was at a symposium with them down south, which was fun to kind of get almost warm. It was great. We talked about a lot of different things. Kind of the new thing that's coming up is my brain's not working. Last time we talked a lot about how to dispose of these electric vehicles and the batteries that are associated with them. As you guys know, in fire, that there's nothing worse than an electric vehicle fire.
Right.
The similar thing is a problem for landfills, right?
Sure
Because
is.
we can't just get rid of them. They have to dismantle. They almost have to go to a recycling facility. And how do we do with that logistically? There's no real update for you guys on that. I did learn that all TVs, per my previous conversation with you, need to go to a special place.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't throw my TV in the
Perfect.
dumpster
There you
today.
go. And that's only because they go to a place where they're able to pull them precious metals out of the boards. So there's not, like a tube TV is a toxic problem. A flat
Right.
TV is a throwing away gold and silver problem.
Gotcha.
So it
Okay.
wouldn't have been an economic disaster if you had chucked it in the garbage can, but it would have been
I wouldn't have
a
been
loss.
poisoning the well.
Correct,
That's all I was
yes.
really concerned about
yes.
doing.
Though there's no water that's coming underneath the new era landfill, so we're
Also
good on
good.
that front. Yes, and there's like 6 layers of non-permeable substrates that it's hard.
They planned ahead.
Exactly. One of the other cool things about the symposium that I learned is one of the problems that landfills and transfer stations deal with is birds. And you've all probably been to a landfill where you see all the birds come in and then they all erupt out. And the problem is they're all carrying stuff, the garbage, and they drop it everywhere. So it's a way to it spreads garbage more than wind ever could. But it also is sending a lot of diseases, especially our Point of the Mountain transfer station, or landfill, which is actually over by Daybreak, and they have that big old body of water right there that Daybreak and the landfill are trying to coordinate. And I learned how they now deal with birds at landfills, and that's with falconers. Or what are falcon, whatever. They bring falcons in, and they learn and train the birds in the area that this is a predator zone. And it is so cool. So they send up they usually bring like 4 or 5 falcons, and they're sending them up in rotations, and
So you
it
gotta see
really
that.
helps a lot.
That's cool.
They did bring one falcon there. Oh, and she was gorgeous. And female falcons are far better than male falcons.
Yeah.
They're terrible. They're useless. But it is it's just cool. So there's my nerd update on the transfer station. But we also still have scheduled, for those that can make it, we'd love to have you, on the 27th at 9 a.m. of a tour of the transfer facility.
22nd?
27th, Wednesday the 27th.
All right, 9 a.m. Got it.
So if you can make it, we'd love to have you. If not, we'll miss you. But it's a beautiful facility. And I never thought I'd say that about a place that collects garbage. Yes, it's the massive, huge building. So we actually, we had a map about this size. You know, if we take this as the new square footage of the new building, and they overlaid the square footage of the current building, and it was like, it was like a postage stamp on side of this. So it's a massive upgrade. Like I've told you in the past, we are way overutilizing that transfer station. Because of how amazing Terry Fickland is logistically, he is able to work miracles, but at the expense of a lot. And so this new facility is just going to be phenomenal. So I hope to be able to have you guys all there. And that's it for me.
Thank you. Councilmember Hutchings.
So, read through the minutes. I have not gotten the video for either of the water groups, but SUMFA was just swearing in, their annual, the chairman and secretary, and then they set the new meeting schedule. So the next meeting's not until May. Mount Nebo actually had quite a bit that they went through. So they're working on a few different things, a groundwater management plan. So they've got a groundwater management plan. They voted to extend that into a new phase. Then they're working on a water smart banking grant where they're able to move water around, kind of like electricity does, is what it read to me. I don't understand it completely. And then optimization of the water system as well that they went through. And a lot of this stuff is with grants. They went through the budget, swore in some new board members, and extended some of those projects out, so they're going into the next phase of them. And that's pretty much the update on them, and hopefully I'll make it to it.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Kinnison.
On the 911 board, the next meeting's day after tomorrow. Last meeting, we talked about 911 texting, and I think I sent you all the policies about that, and hope you enjoyed reading those. But I have nothing else to report.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Lund?
There's nothing by my name. I got nothing.
No, it's time for you to improvise.
We did have a finance committee meeting. I know it's not like this time, but to report. But we're going to look at the budget there. Chris is going to get us a draft of the budget and in an email, and then we'll look through it, ask him if there's any questions. We just don't have any time to have another meeting and review it before it comes to the city council. So
Right, which we do need to talk about in our upcoming agenda items.
yes, so we're going to do it through email this time. It's really nice if we can do it in our actual meeting, because Chris, goes through line by line. He goes into a lot of detail. It's really nice, but it'll be good. We've got some good people on that committee, so
Yeah,
they'll look
everyone's
it over
participating too.
yeah, everyone's doing good. So
Good.
I made a recommendation for a new member to that committee, but the person hasn't responded yet, I don't think.
Did you send it to me?
No, Mike mentioned it to you.
Mike Taylor?
He said he talked to you about it.
Well, we'll have to talk offline.
I'll talk to you offline then.
I know we just barely appointed
Because-
Aaron, I know, but
Yeah, but the one never comes. He never participates. We have one that's never been, not once.
right, no, I know who that is.
So we were looking maybe for someone to replace.
Okay, and I'm
He said he
sorry,
talked to
I'm
you
getting
about it.
old. That's my excuse. I don't remember the conversation with Mike on who that would be.
I can
but
talk to you
when you
offline.
tell me, yeah, it'll probably jog something, or maybe it won't.
No, it will.
Okay. It's what?
He used to sit right here.
Oh, that does ring bells. Okay. Yep. Yeah. See, It just needs a little priming and then eventually it all comes back.
Anyway,
Okay.
so yeah, that's all I got. That's all I had. And then we did put out another newsletter, so yeah,
Great.
Loved it, loved it.
trying to spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, no, you're doing a great job.
Great, great newsletter.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Approval of large purchases or sale of equipment. There's a lot of people. Brian, you've been on the phone even talking about some of this stuff. So thank you for everything that you've done there. Yeah, Ted, why don't you start us off, and then I don't know, Brian, if you've got anything to add, or Chris, but
I work for Ted when I'm selling this stuff, so. Ted and I work for each other.
so if Ted points to you, then you'll know it's time to speak.
Oh, good.
A couple things to talk about. One is, as you might remember, a month or so ago in one of the council meetings, we authorized getting a new public works / fire chief truck, leasing it. So we've been working with the leasing company. We got their formal lease conditions and parameters. They found a truck that kind of met the request we were asking for. They wanted to move on it fairly quickly because they don't know how long they can hold it. It's not one that's typically in their fleet, so they actually have to go out and buy it and then lease it to us. They sent us all the paperwork today, one of which included a resolution that needs to be passed so we can have the authority to sign the lease agreement. And we didn't have time to get that advertised on the agenda for today, so we're trying to figure out how to handle that as far as the resolution goes. But we did get the conditions of the lease. It would be a 3-year lease. I think it's $12,500 per year. And then,
Per year, that's not bad.
yeah, and then turn that over every 3 years and just keep leasing vehicles.
And that includes the outfitting it with the fire.
That's was gonna be my question. It'll have everything. You don't have to add, or you have to add stuff to it. and stuff.
So we included the major items that we wanted to have on it. We actually have to do it, but it gets included in the lease cost.
Okay.
So I had to go out and get quotes from all the people, like, you know, if we want lights and sirens on it or, whatever. I had to go out and get quotes from all these people that do this work and send it to the company, and then they add it into the whole lease thing.
So will the labor be extra? Have it put in, or is that all included?
That's all included in the quotes I got. There's a couple small things that we'll just do out of our budget, but most of the major items got included. So that would include equipping it as well, that cost. So
So while we're on that topic, how would you all feel about, I won't be here, so I think we really ought to do it. But a council, just a very brief council meeting tomorrow or in the next day or two, where that resolution can be considered and approved.
We need to get this signed as quickly as we can
Yeah.
so that they can lock in this truck.
yeah, I mean, they found the one we want, and if we don't jump on it, they can't guarantee they can hold it for us.
So what would everyone's
So it'd need to be
availability-
Thursday at the soonest, right?
How much time do you need, Jody?
She's 24 hours.
So
Okay.
Thursday at the soonest.
So, unless you post it right now, then we can do it tomorrow at 7. But we could do it, yeah, we can do it Thursday. I mean, like I said, I won't be here, but if Thursday works for everybody.
Yeah.
It's Pi Day.
yes.
It's Pi Day.
Is it possible to get a thumbs up, thumbs down tonight so we can tell them kind of the
3:14.
thoughts?
Oh,
So
that's right. Wait, what was that, Chris?
Can we get a thumbs up, thumbs down tonight so we can at least prime the pump with these guys
Yeah,
to?
no, that's what I'm hoping for. So we've got 4 council members that are good. Jody, is Thursday good for you?
Yeah, I mean, you can approve it underneath large purchase agreements under the city council agenda. We would just be formally passing the resolution on Thursday.
Oh, okay. All
So if
right.
you
And then
approve it,
also,
move-
the resolution.
So nobody changes their mind.
And the resolution is going to include more money than the vehicle because we're just getting approved for a larger loan in case we get the tractor lease through them also for the new tractor down at the salt shed. So we'll just get one resolution done. We don't have to use it all, but it just saves some time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tomorrow night at 6 PM, is that good with everybody?
I think we said Thursday.
Or yeah, not tomorrow, Thursday at 6 PM?
6.
Yes.
Okay, Ben, would you
Right
mind
at 6.
conducting that meeting?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, and Chris, that works for you? Thursday at 6?
Thursday at 6, I will be in no, that will not work, but I think it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And we can send the resolution out to you guys so you can see beforehand and ask any questions.
Okay, Ted.
Yeah, and I'll be here, so yeah.
All right, perfect.
One down. So
Is there anything else?
yeah, we got one.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm just getting warmed up. You know how we've been saving all this money all this time? So there's a second item that has come up, and I was going through budget stuff with Chris today, and we came up with another great idea. All ideas are great, but so the Central 911 Dispatch is updating their radio system, essentially changing their radio system to a new radio system. At some point, all the radios that we have in our fire and EMS will be no longer useful, obsolete. So we've been scrambling, trying to figure out how do we get updated enough that, you know, when this happens, I think in August is the planned transition, that we don't lose all our radio communications. Now, there are some flash codes and some various things we can do to the radios for this first phase, but ultimately when it goes into full effect with the second phase, within probably a year or so, these radios will be no good that we have. Now we have, I take it back. We have four newer radios, and then our new fire truck, our new brush truck, those all have the newer radios in them, so they'll all be fine. Then we have 4 handhelds, but we've got 4 other apparatuses and about 10 more handhelds that will be obsolete. So Craig had been working on some purchasing of these radios over the last few years, and that's where the 4 came from. In reviewing the budget with Chris today, we had looked at some capital outlay that had been set aside last year for a payment on our new fire truck, and it had been included in the budget. Our payment is about $15,000 less than what the capital outlay was reserved in that budget. So what we'd like to do is take that funds that was going to go towards a truck payment, that now we don't need that entire amount, and apply it towards purchasing some. We won't be able to get everything, but some of these radios, 4 to 5 of them right now. Ultimately we need, like I said, 4 apparatuses and about 10 handhelds. This will get us about 4 or 5 of them this year, and then we'll try and work on some ways to get some more. So
you can
that
even rotate through them, I guess, right? So you're not buying them all at once. Is that, would it be something where you're sort of staggering the replacement of them? If you, I'm not saying it was even planned that way, but that seems like that might have some benefit too.
Yeah. And these, I mean, the radios had Central not been updating their radio system, we'd been fine. But because of this update,
Chain falls downstairs, but blade on.
our radios are essentially have to be replaced. They're going to be obsolete. So we've been working on replacing them with this money that's not going to be used towards, that we set aside for truck. Maybe we'd like to spend about $15,000 and maybe $16,000 of that on some radios, and then if it ends up being an extra $1,000 or $2,000, we can use some of our equipment budget that we have to cover the extra few thousand if we need it. But that'd be another major purchase. So our plan is to replace 1 apparatus this time, because our frontline fire engine, our new one, has a new radio in it. Our frontline brush truck has a new radio in it. So we'd like to replace the one in our ambulance, or we call it our rescue. That gives us all of our frontline vehicles with the newer radios. And then we would replace about 3 or 4 more handhelds.
Okay. Any comments or questions on that?
You probably, before you ask to spend money, you should tell us the things that have been sold and how much money.
Oh yeah. So we can Brian has a better hand, but we sold Big O and all.
Like, you know.
Yeah. So maybe for the benefit of those who listen to me, so we sold Big O. Brian handled that process, and some plows and the spreaders. That was a little over 30,000 we got from those, which is actually a little more than I thought we'd get.
25 for Big O, right?
25 for Big O, which I think was great.
Ooh, good job.
Yeah.
Nice.
Down the road today.
Yeah.
Complain about that more often.
That'll save us about.
A few chunks of asphalt on its
We
way
probably
out.
should have had a
Party
parade for
shot.
it or something.
That'll save us about probably 20,000 in maintenance every year. So Big O, and then Corbett's truck is the one he was using over here, sold 48 something on that one.
48-1.
On that one.
Got Fred.
And we've got competing bids, right? Mo? We got
I'm almost wishing, not buyer's remorse is what I'm suffering.
So that one's gone, and then we're going to put the maroon truck up probably in the next week or so down there. And then ultimately, like I mentioned before, once we get the new Public Works fire chief truck, the gray one out here, the one I currently drive, will become a Public Works use truck for Zach to do his meters and blue staking. What he uses the maroon truck for now, we'll switch that one over so he can use that because it's quite
We'll
a bit
take all
newer.
the sirens off first, though, right?
No, I want to see him respond lights and sirens to do blue staking. Just freak people out.
Jody, we're
We
gonna
take it
take it off
seriously.
first, right?
Yeah. So the radio in this truck will actually be moved to the new truck because this is a newer radio, so we didn't have to upgrade it. So we're just going to move it over to the new truck. But
Cool.
yeah, save us that cost of a radio there.
Now, if we can get $500 for the maroon truck, I'm throwing a party.
That's what I'm not putting any reserve on that.
At some point, depending on what it goes, it may be more valuable to the department to do extrication practice on, but we'll see what it goes for.
We've got the
Then we'll sell
Jaws
it.
of Life too, don't you?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
we
we'll
need to
practice with
tear
those new
things
ones.
up.
But yeah.
Jody's got her hand raised. What's up? No? No.
Oh, someone in your household.
We won't offer it, just.
Oh.
You don't need anything to encourage them staying.
Gotcha.
All right, great. Anything else?
Nope, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And thanks again, Brian, for your efforts there. I know that makes a big difference and some big sales made. Okay, Chris, anything else from you on large purchase approvals?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right, possible items for upcoming city council meetings. So we talked about, not we, but I was talking to Chris about doing our budget retreat, and it doesn't even come close to resembling a retreat.
I
but
know,
it's our
like, why
budget
is it
meeting.
called that?
I don't know.
Optimism.
We'll just call it our budget meeting, just because as we're suffering through it, we don't want to actually think we're at a
You're supposed to
retreat.
go to your cabin for a
Hey, now that's the most exciting thing you guys do all year, so please don't bash the budget.
Say that again.
I said this is the most exciting meeting you guys have all year is the budget. So
So we're actually looking at the 26th, so the next council meeting. If,
Yeah, I think that's Chris said.
I believe that would be after we've got Peter Quitner coming, correct, Ben?
Correct, yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be a marathon. So the nights are, you what?
I'll be out of town, I'll be joining online.
Oh, okay, well, we're gonna be watching you to make sure that you're not stepping out. Don't try any of your funny filters that lead
Yeah.
us to believe that you're there, but you're at the beach or
We
something.
want to see your face.
Yeah, engaged,
That's
with an
right.
engaged look.
I just feel bad
Oh,
that
yeah,
Chris
there's
is
not
down in
much
St.
going on.
George
Well,
in a
be at
snowstorm.
budget meeting.
yes,
Yeah, Chris. Where are you at? What are you doing?
I'm actually driving back from Cedar City right now, and it's nice and 63 out right now in St. George. We just pulled up, so
All right.
Are you thinking
supposed to be 80 next week. So
Snowstorm.
Yeah.
No.
All right, so you will be here in person on the 26th, Chris?
oh, I hadn't planned on being in person on the 26th, but if you need me up there,
I don't know that it's necessary. I mean, if you happen to be in town, but
Okay.
I wouldn't make a special trip for it.
I did not have plans, but it seems to be relatively easy to put it up on the screen. But if you need me up there, just let me know.
Well, that's a good point. No, don't bother.
Okay.
I wasn't trying to uninvite you, but
Yeah.
all right. So a little bird just asked about a camera update, and I think we actually might be really close. So we've got
Oh,
our camera guy coming on the 28th. SESD is lined up. He's going to install all the equipment that requires access to high places. So they're going to start at the mailboxes and work their way up the mountain. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jody and Chris, but once those are installed, I mean, we're pretty much done, right? That's it, right?
I believe so. He just needs to
Please
replace
tell
that
me
one on the
that's
fire
it.
station. He needs to just replace that one on the fire station so we can broadcast it on the internet in the wintertime. I think that's the
Yeah,
only
well,
other
I
one.
can't imagine he's gonna be doing those others and not finish that one. He talked about, we had a good meeting with him, last week, and he talked that he might even last Friday be able to get up and put the one that we look at for, you know, snow conditions. I guess he didn't get around to it, but the 28th he's locked in, so hopefully that will be the end of that. All right. Any other comments?
Just a
or-
question about under the line item of upcoming city council meeting.
Mhm.
Do we know if Emily's going to schedule another CEMP?
So that
To
is
finish
actually
that.
the 27th. After our tour, we'll come back here and
Oh.
finish the CEMP.
So
Okay.
this
She'll
is a
probably
big
send out a
week.
thing, won't she?
So you got
I
a
believe so.
late night
yeah.
budget meeting and then a garbage
Early morning
dump tour
tour.
followed by emergency management.
Okay. Trashy week.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, thank you.
Just block those 15 hours out of city time.
Yeah. Just
I mean, Brian was here all day today, so.
it's a labor of love, right?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
got to read tax code.
You know what?
2 hours.
Wow.
When you guys have given up as many Saturdays as I've given up for community events, we can talk.
It's not a competition, Janet.
Yeah.
I've given up a lot of Saturdays.
Yeah. No, I know. That's event planner. You
You have to go to them all.
Yeah, those are premium days. All right. Well, why don't we take a quick break and we'll reconvene at 7:20. I just take the microphone with you as long as we can hear you vote.
Okay.
You don't want to hear it.
Yours on?
Yes.
Okay, we will call the city council meeting to order. Councilmember Kinnison, if you would please offer our invocation, and Councilmember Hilliard, if you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. Prayer. Do that too.
We switched it
I
a while
know,
ago.
fix it now. Thank you. Our Father in heaven, we are grateful this evening for the opportunity we have to serve with one another and do what we can to benefit this city. We are so grateful to live in such a beautiful place with good friends and neighbors around us, and we pray that we will do what we can with our finances and changes to government, that we will do this in a positive way and in the best manner possible. We're thankful we have the opportunity of serving with one another and with all of the volunteers in our city that do many things to benefit us. We ask thee to be with us and help us, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank
All
you.
rise. Repeat the pledge with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have to mention Chris.
Yeah, I know. Cool. Remote participation. Thank you, Ben.
It's a good look, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, once again, Monica, you're the public. You got anything to say?
I got nothing. I have to say, but nothing.
Okay, well then, before you come up with something, we'll close the public comment portion of the meeting. Okay, item 16 and 17, January 23rd, 2024, City Council meeting minutes, and February 13, City Council meeting minutes. Get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, January 2023, 24, and February 13th, 24's City Council meeting minutes.
Okay, so a motion by Councilmember Hilliard and a second by Councilmember Hutchings. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, seeing none opposed, that motion carries. Item 18, recommendation for the Planning Commission to consider a change in zoning classification from R1 to R19 for property located at 692 and 696 South Sky Lake Drive.
I'll move that we recommend that planning commission review.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Hutchings,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilmember Lunt. Councilmember Hutchings,
Yes.
Councilmember Kinnison,
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Hilliard.
Yes.
That motion carries. Item 19, Resolution 2024-11, amending the Woodland Hills Consolidated Fee and Rate Schedule.
I'll make a motion that we approve the updated consolidated fee and rate schedule.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember
I will
Lunt,
second that.
seconded by Councilmember Kinnison. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I didn't hear your aye, so I,
It was
no,
there.
okay, that motion carries. Ordinance 2024-11, amending City Code Title 613 regarding parking, towing, and impoundment of vehicles.
I'll make a motion to approve that ordinance.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Hilliard,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilmember Kinnison. Councilmember Hilliard,
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Kinnison,
Yes.
Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. Resolution 2024-12, appointing a Community Development Committee Chair and Secretary. And so that would be, thanks,
And Chloe Cleveland.
and Chloe Cleveland.
I'll make a motion that we appoint Community Development Chair and Secretary,
Okay. motion-
as noted.
Okay. A motion by Councilmember Lunt,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilmember Hilliard. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Item 22, approval of engineering for completion of the Broad Hollow Well as presented by Ted Mickelson.
I'll move that we approve that engineering.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Hutchings,
I'll second that.
seconded by Councilmember Kinnison. Councilmember Hutchings,
Yes.
Councilmember Kinnison,
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hilliard.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. So then the other purchase would be the radios, right? So approval for large purchase or sale of equipment, and in particular, the radios as presented by
And
Chief.
the leasing of the truck.
Oh, that's right, and the leasing of the truck. Well, okay, that's right. So we approve it and then vote on the resolution tomorrow. Okay, so those two items, would they need to be separate? Okay, so those two items is a single
Can
vote.
we include sirens?
Oh, yes.
Um,
The approval of the,
Of the
Siren
Good,
legal.
good
siren.
call. Okay, so all three.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we can,
Now,
if we can
it
do
fails
that.
for lack of motion.
Now, do we have to do all three together, or
You
should we?
can.
Well, I mean, if there is some concern, we can split them up.
No, it's just a question. Is it better to split them up or just do them all together?
The motion can include all three and then you're fine. Or you
It's
can
just if
split
you want to
each
vote
one up.
against one of them, we got to separate them.
Yeah.
Then I'm
So
okay either way.
let's just do the singular motion and single vote,
Okay.
and then if there is opposition on any of those purchases, then we can split them out.
Okay. I move that we approve those three things mentioned: the truck, the radios, and the siren expenses.
Okay.
Let's put some
And
dollars.
that would include the,
12,500 a year lease for 3 years for the truck. 30, Greg, sorry, Ted. Ted, what's the amount for the sirens?
So the siren relocation is 30,385, I believe it was.
Okay.
And then
So the truck, the sirens, and then the radios.
And then up to 15,000 for the radios, if we could do that.
1,000 for the radios from that. It may be a few thousand more, but we can pull that probably from our budget we already have.
So are we approving the loader if we get that, or is that just part of the resolution?
So the resolution is just authorizing us to get maybe $200,000 potential loan instead of just this, whatever, $30,000 loan or $40,000 for the truck.
Okay, so the resolution then, I didn't appreciate that. The resolution that will be voted on is for multiple vehicles then?
It's basically a resolution opening a line of credit with the leasing company up to a certain threshold.
And so that would get us, which vehicles do we anticipate getting through that then specifically?
The fire truck, the chief's truck, public works truck, and then the potential loader. We've got a couple options on the loaders right now. But this company does do the leasing and turnaround for us.
We're gonna have to come back to that resolution.
Right, no, it makes sense. I just wanted to
But
make
we're
it
not
clear.
approving a loader now because that hasn't been decided. We're just
Correct.
approving the truck part of the resolution will be for much more.
Yeah, once we get
Yeah.
the loader nailed down, then come back to council for your approval.
Okay, is that clear?
Yes,
Brian's got to do a
As
lot more
mud.
selling.
we're gonna get a credit line, but we're only gonna get the truck right now.
Yeah.
We'll
Yes,
get the loader later,
yes.
hopefully.
Okay,
So that's my motion.
so that was Doral's motion. Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Councilmember Hutchings, Councilmember Hilliard,
Yes.
Councilmember Lunt,
Yes.
Councilmember Kinnison,
Yes.
and Councilmember Hutchings.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. I do not have any updates legally, so there's no reason for me to recommend a closed session, so unless somebody else has something
That's a
that they'd
beautiful
like.
thing.
Yeah, I know,
I feel like almost just,
So
we should, just because you want to leave.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's that too.
did we, well, maybe I'll just ask Jody later on the filing and everything else, how that went.
So I can give you some update. Danny was supposed to file, I don't remember the exact filing that she was supposed to submit. I have not seen that. I was going to ask Craig and Ethan about that today, but the case has been dismissed, so this is just a procedural formality that needs to be
Yeah, but
followed.
then we've got the 30 days
Yeah.
post-filing.
Today.
Did it file today then?
She was filing paperwork
Okay.
today.
I was just
but
wondering
they
when that-
didn't sign it,
I didn't
so they
figure.
waited for the
Adverse party?
adverse party to sign the documents, which they have not. And so.
So that went
Okay,
like 10 days. Yeah.
Quite some time, yes.
We could have
Okay.
filed sooner than that. They had 7 days to sign and then we could have filed, but I'm just trying to get this clock ticking.
yeah.
That's
Days
what my,
from today.
okay,
I'm just wondering when we're gonna have a party, that's what I'm wondering.
30 days.
I know.
That's the hope. Okay, then
For the sale of the maroon
we can
truck.
get a
right?
motion to adjourn. We'll wrap this up.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
I'll second
motion by Councilmember Hilliard, seconded by Councilmember Lunt. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
See you
Thank you,
guys.
Chris.
Yeah,
Good to see you, Chris.
See ya.